back to Boogie Chassis. You know, lately I've had a lot of fun building sub boxes, and I wish I could do more of them. The install on the Boogie van has been a huge success, and I couldn't be more happy with it. Today on Boogie Chassis, we're getting into a whole new project and an entirely new realm for me. Now, recently my buddy Matt better known as Downtime Designs, decided to take his truck meet, tacos and tailgates, and turn it into a full-on show. This summer, Saturday, July 12th, is the first annual Tacos and Tailgate show at 5th Brewing Company in Perryville, Maryland, from noon to 6 p.m. Now, Matt had the idea for everybody to meet up before the show and cruise to the event. There are 2 meetup points, each with its own cruise captain. Tim Burgess will be the captain for the North meetup point, and yours truly, Boogie, although nobody calls me that, will be the captain for the South side. Go online, look at tacosandtailgateshow.com, or go to Facebook or Instagram, give them a like, give them a share, and help get the word out. Tim and I will be leading a procession of show cars and trucks from our respective meetup points to the show. Meetup time is about 11:30, and we leave at 12 o'clock sharp. Now you can follow Tim in his flame square body Chevy S10 by meeting at Chesapeake Travel Plaza on the north, or you can meet with me in the Boogie van on the south end at Maryland House Travel Plaza. Now, truck shows back in the day used to have a bunch of games. Tug of war, pizza eating contests, relay races and such, to keep everybody entertained and help you meet some new friends. So for Tacos and Tailgates 2025, Matt had the idea to do a Pinewood Derby. Now that's today's project. We're going to build a Pinewood Derby race car.
Got some tasty corner rides, yeah.
I've had so much fun building stereo stuff in the Boogie shop truck and the Boogie van. I was totally down with building a race car. Being as it's racing, there are some rules. Total weight of your race car has to be 7 ounces ready to run. Your car must have 4 wheels. Since it's gravity racing, the cars can't have any kind of propulsion. And the minimum ride height of the cars has to be 3/8 of an inch.
Move this man!
I know. There's a guide rail on the aluminum racetrack, and that keeps all of us from being able to slam our cars on their nuts. Sorry. Speaking of something cool, I picked up some wheels to start this whole project. Apparently the common way to mount these wheels is to drill a hole and put what looks like a nail through them. So the plan to build the car is to stack up MDF to get the width right. Then I'll use a combination of my bandsaw, grinders, and my router to give the body the final shape. Now before I start making sawdust, there's a couple more rules I have to observe. You have to have a minimum of 1.75 inches between the wheels in order to fit the track. And the outside of the car has to be less than 2.75 inches. Now I'm pretty much winging it here. I did draw up a sketch of what I want the car to look like, and I can only hope that it comes in light enough that I don't have to cut a ton of weight out of it. I just drew a cool shape with no real design in mind. Something easy to make that looks fast. I don't know.
Got some tasty corner rides, yeah.
With a sketch and some rough dimensions, I started cutting out the first of many templates. When I say many, I mean many. Then I traced the paper template onto a piece of 3/4 inch MDF. That started the tedious task of cutting the stacks of MDF on my swag bandsaw. Midway through, I was so desperate I would have cut my own finger off to get out of this. But I've got a race to win. With that unpleasantness over, I laid out the axles using the paper template and a punch. Unlike working in steel, the MDF is easy to mark. I drilled the first side and used it to transfer the axle center line onto the opposite side. Found a hole saw slightly larger than the OD of the wheels I'm running, and cut wheel wells in the outer body panels. The outer body panels will give the car some hips and keep it from being a slab-sided doorstop. I use the wheels in the outer body panels to locate the axle holes, then mark them with the smallest transfer punch I have. With some good old wood glue, I stuck all the MDF chunks together to make the central portion of the body and clamped it up to dry. Since I had some leftover glue, I used an old tip Mr. Junk taught me in shop class. Waste not, want not, right? Now I plan on using the table router, but I got this new sander.
Whoa, a new toy! I like it!
But I still needed the router to clean up the outer body panels, and everything was going exactly to plan. Until the incident.
Oh, bitch.
So I got to make another outer body panel. And remember all that glue I saved? Well, I'm glad I did, because I used it to attach the outer body panels and clamp them up while they dried. Time for a weight check. Make sure to add the wheels. Oh, and the axles. Now I thought this might happen. It's just a couple ounces, no big deal. I broke out a Forstner bit and got whittling away on the underside of the body to remove some weight. And some more. And some more. Time for another weight check. Before the big reveal, I have to shoot you straight. I attacked this poor thing with my new rotophile. 3 ounces is a lot more than it seems, but we made it.
Got some tasty corn around ya.
So I got the body all primed and I sanded it down. When I was sanding it down, I noticed a couple flaws. And when I say flaws, I mean I dug the grinder down the side of it when I was hogging out the bottom to lighten it up. That's nothing a little spot putty can't handle. Would have been a lot cooler if it hadn't happened, but this was an easy fix. Even though I hate sanding. Onto the top coat, I used some white U-pole acrylic lacquer. I decided to mask off a section of the roof to leave the body color and paint the rest up like the cockpit of a fighter plane. A quick scuff, some random gloss black from the cabinet, and it was time to peel the masking. Man, this is like Christmas morning. Hopefully this purple tape did its job. Not bad. Whew! Man, those paint fumes are kicking. I gotta do something about it. I'm gonna have to call Mike. Meet Mike. This is my #1 fan. Mike's got a big mouth, makes a ton of useless noise. Worst of all, as far as I can tell, the only thing Mike does is blow around hot air on a day like today. But at this point, I'll take what I can get. Car audio isn't your forte. Duh, you don't need to screw your sub box together. Man, I've worked with the biggest names in the industry. The body was looking a little plain, so I decided to add some features. I added some front marker lights, and decided to do quad taillights out back.
Got some tasty corn around ya.
So now it's time for the last little job on the race car. I have to find a way to drive these little axles through the wheels and into the body. I'm concerned that if I drive them in too far, I'll put the wheels in a bind and cost myself some speed during the race. I'll have to find a way to drive them in without hurting the paint too. So I laid out a little piece of MDF and put a piece of leather over the top to protect the paint. I went to work with my good old friend Tappy here, and what do you know, it worked. After that, I figured I better weigh the car again. Since I was a little underweight, I dug around the shop and found just the perfect thing to get me close. I don't want to get too close to the weight limit, because the odds of my scale matching the one at the race are going to be about 0. In order to fasten that to the bottom of the body, I used a piece of double-sided tape. That way, if I'm too close to the weight limit, I can just peel it off at the race and not make a big deal of it. So how'd we do? Well, it looks really cool. As far as how fast it is, we won't know until the show. Now, building this thing was a really good time. I'm happy with how it turned out, and it'll definitely be one of the more unique entries in the race, if not the fastest. So get out to the first annual Tacos and Tailgates show this July 12th, 2025 at 5th Brewing Company in Perryville, Maryland. Remember to support their event pages on Facebook and Instagram and share it with your friends. Since you're going to the show anyway, be cool and build yourself a Pinewood Derby car of your own. Go to tacosandtailgateshow.com for more rules and any questions you might have. There are also links to a bunch of kits online if you hate a challenge like I do and don't want to build one from scratch. I'll see you at the race, and thanks for watching.